This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 18 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. All right. I'm going to read just a little quote to get the meeting started. What's something you have right now that you used to wish for? So everybody can take that with them tonight. And now it's time for business. So the first item is public and select board information not related to what's on tonight's agenda. So I'll open it up to the select board. Is there any information that anybody wanted to mention? No. All right. I'll just mention the light up the night for the tea time that is up. People can still register, right? With Lauren Barker. That's on the town Facebook page as well. So you can check that out. So you can get involved with that. Then is there any public information not related to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to appointments. So tonight we have Cape Organization for Rights of the Disabled, or CORD. We have Jessica Simmons here she's the independent living advocate and here to do a little presentation for the board. So Jessica, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, fantastic. How is everybody tonight?
Good, thank you.
Good. So I am going to screen share so that you can see my PowerPoint. So Cape Organization for Rights of the Disabled. So my name is Jessica Simmons and I am a senior independent living advocate. I have been working with disabled individuals for about 20 years now. I've been with CORD for about 18 months. So CORD is been working since 1984 to advance the independence, productivity, and integration of people with disabilities into mainstream society. So we are a Center for Independent Living, otherwise known as a CIL. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So that means that we have no fees for our services. We serve people with any disability of any age and any income. So what is the Center for Independent Living? We are a private nonprofit, consumer-controlled, community-based organization. So when we say private, we mean we're not a state or federal agency.
Jess, I'm just going to ask if it's possible to speak a little closer to your microphone, or it's just a little muffled. Yeah, so it's a little hard to hear.
No, it might be my headphones. We are federally recognized nonprofit.
That's much better.
We are consumer controlled. So that means people who come to us for services direct those services, and we provide technical knowledge, information, and the support that they need. Community-based means we work locally to improve the lives of people with disabilities, and we're non-residential, so we do not provide any housing. We don't manage any properties. That's often a common misconception. So we're run mainly by and for people with disabilities, meaning at least 51% of our staff on board must be people with disabilities. So what do Centers for Independent Living do? We create opportunities for independence, and we assist people with disabilities to be as independent as they can be in their lives. It also means having control over one's life and being able to choose and control the decisions and directions for one's life to the fullest extent of capability. These rights have historically been denied to people with disabilities. So we advocate for the ability of a range of services, and options was just as people with disabilities to live as independently as possible, meaning accessible transportation, affordable accessible housing, healthcare, among many other things. It's also the right to try, the right to succeed, the right to fail, and the right to try again, which is often called the dignity of work. So a little history on CORD. We were founded in 1984 as the Cape Cod Project in Self-Advocacy. We were later renamed CORD by a small group of people with disabilities that have been seeking local access to local businesses. Right now we're located at 765 Attic Lane in Hyannis. We're open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and we are by appointment only. Historically, we have done the walk-ins, but after COVID, we're not doing that. So what does consumer controlled mean? It means that as a CORD consumer, you get to choose who is involved in your decision-making process. You are provided with all the necessary information and support you need to make informed decisions. The information you need as a CORD consumer is provided to you in a manner that is accessible to you. For example, if somebody was visually or hearing impaired, we would be able to provide a manner that's accessible to you. The core consumer is offered choices regarding how to receive your services, and you set your own goals. And again, you have the right to fail and the right to try again. There's that dignity at risk again. So what is a disability? It can be a continuing physical or mental impairment, such as cerebral palsy, epilepsy, depression, bipolar, intellectual disability, learning disability, Alzheimer's. CORE does not require any proof of disability. So to receive our services, all we need is self-disclosure. And why is that? Because we're not giving out tangible items like housing vouchers or financial help. You're getting the service of our expertise, knowledge, and time. So we have a couple different programs here at CORE. We have IL, which is independent living, vocational rehabilitation, options counseling, transition to adulthood program, and our work readiness and prep program. Some of the individual services we provide, help finding housing. We can help you fill out applications and get on housing authority lists. If you need assistance at work, we can help you talk to your employer about reasonable accommodations to help you perform your job functions. Or if you have a child with a disability who you would like to get a job or they would like to get a job, we can teach them soft skills for employment and provide a limited number of internships. If you're living in a nursing home and want to get out, we can help you with that. If you need aids for daily living, also known as assistive technology or adaptive equipment, to help you live more independently, call us to discuss your needs and with weighted utensils, jar opening devices, lighted signalers, and more. If you feel you are unsupported with your child's IEP meetings, you can give us a call and we can help you with that. So our transition program, if you or a loved one want to move from a nursing home or other institution back into the community, we can help with that. If your child is ready to move from high school to adult services or college, that's also something that we do with our transition services. We do like to set up informational tables at health and job fairs. We actually set up a table at the Eastham Job Fair earlier this year. It was lovely. If you would like a free workshop to your business on disability laws and regulations, we can come in and do that. And if you want to see some of the low-tech items that can help you with your daily activities, like the jar openers that I had mentioned, or putting on your socks and eating, we can set up AT presentations for that as well. Do you have questions about accessibility of doorways, sidewalks, programs, or other disability issues to your business? We can help you, figure out what some of those issues may be, help you target those. If you want information on talking to your employees about reasonable accommodations and working with people with disabilities, that's something that we can help with as well. So our independent living program, a lot of the stuff that we do right now involves housing, just because we all know that we're in a housing crisis at the moment, but helping people find affordable, accessible housing. If you need help with your job, but you're not quite sure what to do or where to start, if somebody was denied Social Security and they want to appeal it, they're not sure how to do that. If you're working with Mass Rehab Commission and need additional services or help with your goals, these are all services that the independent living program can provide. So with our options counseling, if you're living in a nursing home and you want to get out, if someone's telling you that you need to be in a nursing home, but that's not what you want to do for yourself, if you feel like you need to be in a nursing home or someplace like that, but you're not sure where to start, we can help you talk about your options. If you are over the age of 60 or a person with a disability over the age of 18, we can help you figure out all these options. So our transition to adulthood program, otherwise known as TAP, is for children between the ages of 14 and 21. If you need to plan what happens with special education services end, or you'd like your child to participate in fun social events such as Halloween parties or bowling, socializing with other students their age. If you feel intimidated by the school personnel when you go to meetings to talk about your child's IEP, or if you feel your child needs to learn more about budgeting, their rights, transportation, these are all things that we can help with our TAP program. So our work readiness and prep program is the same age gap. It's 14 to 21. It's post-secondary or high school students. If they're interested in learning about working, we can help prepare the child for the world of work or post-secondary education. We do classes that work on interviewing, resume building, communication, reasonable accommodations on the job, work safety. We also provide limited internships that are available, and they're paid internships. So this is our WRAP program. We also help with COVID-19 vaccine information. If you're having trouble, somebody with a disability is having trouble getting their vaccines or getting set up for appointments, that's something that we can help with as well if you just give us a call. We always need volunteers. We definitely need help upstairs answering phones. So if you know anybody that's interested in volunteering, please send them our way. So other info to know that we do have we are connected with Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands. We've joined together to form the Aging and Disability Resource Consortium, the ADRC of the Cape Cod and the Islands. It's a no wrong door point of services for people with disabilities and elders on the Cape and Islands. That's also a connection with our options counseling and information and referral on community-based services. So we do require masks at all times in the building still. We do work with a high-risk population. And if you're feeling sick or you have somebody that needs to come in for an appointment that's feeling ill, please reschedule. If you're having trouble reading small print or seeing buttons on the phone, we do have a Journey magnifier that can help people out. We are a scent-free organization. Again, the population that we work with tends to be sensitive to smells, and some smells can just be overpowering. We do have memberships. It's open to anyone who wants to support our mission. It's to advocate for the rights of people with disabilities and promote a barrier-free environment for all. It's only $20 a year, and it provides opportunity to be considered for service on the board of directors and reduced price admissions for court events. So if you need any more information, here is our address and our phone number and our website. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Jessica. Let me turn it over to the board to see if there's any questions that came up from the presentation. Yeah,
Just a quick one. I may have missed it in the beginning. What's your primary funding source?
We got our funding from Mass Rehab Commission.
What was that?
Mass Rehab.
Massachusetts Rehab
Okay.
Commission.
Sorry.
And I have a quick question. Do you ever send out representatives from your organization to, I don't know, maybe like a COA, Council on Aging, for a presentation on, pertinent things, or if there was a community center that had, at-risk youth that needed more services, you could come out and do programs with them?
Yes, and actually I have the AT presentations, the assistive technology that I was speaking of. I actually have a couple of them set up with Council on Aging in Barnstable and Mashpee coming up in January.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a good resource for those things. Great. Thank you so much, Jessica. I don't think we have, do you have any other questions? No, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let me get my Adobe. All right, so next we are at 5:44. We have the Business Exterior Improvement Program Awards with Lauren Barker. Lauren is our Economic Development Planner and is going to present this information. Thanks, Lauren.
Hey, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here and give a quick update on this program, which you've received some information on in the past, and then announce the awards that have been selected for this year. I want to acknowledge first that we do have some of our business representatives and owners in the audience this evening attending to show their enthusiasm and excitement for the projects that have been awarded. So we're really grateful to them for taking the time to come and attend and apply as well. Okay, so getting into this a little. Is that working, Rich?
Never works.
All right, I might just have to tell you to click me forward. So just very quickly about the program, the Exterior Improvement Program, or the EIP, the goal of this program is to address deferred maintenance and capital investment needs in our commercial business and business spaces here in Eastham. The program was approved by this board with pilot funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, $125,000 in funding to start the program and pilot it out. And the goals were to, first and foremost, to facilitate recovery and resiliency of our business community in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's no secret the businesses locally and nationwide, especially small businesses, have faced a lot of challenges. And so this was the way that we identified to try to support their efforts in recovery. Again, addressing deferred maintenance and investment needs. And we were looking as well through this program to try out some options for streamlining project review and regulatory review within the town, and hoping through this process to also gain some voluntary compliance with some zoning and regulatory requirements. We have some properties that are non-conforming to our zoning after updating the zoning, particularly in Northeast Tam. So that was a goal of the program, to get them online with that. And then finally, exterior spaces are here to stay, and we wanted to try to encourage people to upgrade those as needed to facilitate their use. Next, please. So the application and selection process for the program, you'll see the criteria there to the right. This is what we looked at in evaluating the applications, but really the whole process was designed to be as fair and transparent as possible. We published the application with all the evaluation criteria on the town's website and promoted it in a variety of ways, got it out through our growing business email list, through the town's website and Facebook page. Local news media were really great in helping us get the word out. And then we did also some information sessions and flyers around town. Application was open for about 5 weeks, and we built in some different levels of review, which I'll touch on briefly. Go forward. Thank you. So the first level of review was an internal staff review to just check for completeness of the project applications and make sure that the projects that were being proposed were eligible under the different categories that we established. We were targeting things that were specific to the exterior of the building that were highly visible aspects. So we checked for that to make sure, and all of the applications we received were qualifying under that category or those categories. Second review level was our application review committee, which consisted of 5 individuals, town staff, Art Honorino from the select board. We also had Pam Anderson from the CDP and Jim Russo from the Eastham Chamber, who served on that group. And we used the criteria that were established to go through each application thoroughly and evaluate it against the goals and objectives of the program. And those criteria also draw back to the town's strategic priorities. So it was all really rooted in the strategic plan and what we're hoping to accomplish there. And then finally, we did a second sort of staff internal review. And this was, the purpose of this was to look for regulatory health and safety compliance. There were some conditions in some cases that were placed on projects to ensure that they were safe and compliant in this area. And so those will be passed along to the applicants where applicable. We did do a presentation, staff presented all of the finalists that were recommended by the application review committee to the planning board. And as I mentioned before, there was a component of built-in streamlining for regulatory and project review. So in a couple of cases, the planning board was asked to grant a waiver of site plan review for some minor things that would have normally required that sort of review. And that was granted at their meeting in November. So we got 20 total proposals and a total of almost $400,000 in project requests. So we were really blown away by the response to the program. And it really confirmed for us, that this is a need and that our business community is very much interested in this program. So now the awards. You'll see here the chart of the awarded projects. The first column there is the award amount that will be provided by the town through the money, the $125,000 maximum that we had to grant. The second column there is the match. There is a 20% match of their total project cost that's required as part of the program. In researching best practices and other comparable programs, we found that having a match of some kind was recommended. And so we went with a 20% match there. And then you'll see the total project cost there off to the right. So I'm going to go through each applicant and give you a little bit of information about the project that they proposed and why they were selected. So in terms of the reasons why they were selected, I will go through the notes that you'll see on each slide come directly from the application review committee and staff review. So these are things that our team identified as the strengths and why they were selected as top ranking among those 20 applications. So very fierce competition and very difficult choices had to be made, but a lot of quality projects. So Ben and Jerry's is our first one. We do have Milan here this evening. Thanks for coming. The award amount there is $21,600.29, and the project that's proposed here will remove the hedges at the front of the shop and replace them with a stone patio. There'll be flower planters that will be placed along the edge of the patio, and the sign will also get an upgrade to a new LED sign that'll be the similar style. So why this project was selected by the team, it had the potential for high visibility improvements. This is a highly visible location, but also the improvements that were being proposed were very high impact potential. The project will use local contractors. There was a clear demonstration in the application for the potential community and economic impact that it will have both on the business itself and on the community as a whole. And then it had strong alignment with our program priorities and the town's strategic priorities as listed here.
And it also is part of it, a new roof as well.
Not a roof, no.
Oh, is that?
The roof sign.
Oh, roof sign. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was reading that wrong. Okay.
I also thought it said roof.
Okay,
so-
thank you.
Oh, did I leave a word out?
No,
That's
I.
fully
probably
possible.
heard In my own words, yeah.
Replacing. the
You're like,
deck,
yay, a roof.
Now this one is a roof, yeah. Casa del Cabo is our second award in the amount of $13,706 and change. This project is an improvement to the exterior outdoor deck awning. So this one is kind of a roof, not really a roof. It's the vinyl covering. And so the covering of the deck along with all flaps will be replaced, and this will allow this restaurant to do service on the deck. It's an existing deck with approval for service, but the problem has been that whenever there's bad weather, there's leaks and they're not able to use it. So this will provide some function. This was one of the reasons why it was a high ranking project, because they'll be able to make this area functional, whereas right now it is not able to be used in certain weather. There was clear demonstration in the application of potential for the impact to this business and also the exterior of the building spaces. And then finally, strong alignment with program and town priorities. Support of food-based businesses is a goal identified in our market study. We have activation of exterior spaces as a project goal or a program goal. And then this is a deferred improvement that they've been wanting to make. So that was another strength. Eagle Wing Inn is our next one, $25,000. The applicant plans to install a new stone base. They have a new sign, but the base around the sign is in need of replacement, as you can see from the photo here. And there will also be some landscaping along the front of the property and a stone wall at the entrance with LED lamps. So a lot of really high impact, highly visible improvements. This is one of the first commercial properties that you see that when you drive into town. So very strong potential to make a good impression there coming into our community. They are proposing to use local contractors, and it has a lot of potential to increase their visibility and revenue as business. Next. And then we have Inn at the Oaks, 24th, just under $25,000. This project, it has a number of components. They'll be replacing the fencing along the front of the property. We do have the owner here as well. Thank you for coming. And we have some damaged or declining trees at the front that are in need of removal, and they'll be replacing those with a living fence that will line the front of the property along Route 6. There's also some proposed lighting to improve the lighting in the parking lot area. So all of these, this is a property that when I was talking with the owner, I think a lot of people drive by and don't really see it. This will be one that when people drive by it after the improvements, you're going to notice the improvements. It's really going to be obvious. This one had a very detailed work plan and timeline. One of the things that we looked at was ability to complete the project within a year. So the scope that these applicants had to put together needed to keep that in mind. And in some cases, It's really hard when you have so many things that have piled up to try to put them into a cohesive project and to have it, to do that on top of everything else that you have to do running a business. So this one was a very well put together application with a lot of potential for high impact. It's also in our historic area. And it's part of our state designated environmental justice census block. So those were some other things that we looked at. Main Street Mercantile, our award amount of a little over $16,000. This one is focused on replacement and painting of the trim and exterior features on the building 1 of the Main Street Mercantile development. For those that don't know, these buildings are in an association condo ownership format. So this will be an entire building that's getting an upgrade of the trim and overhangs, which has the potential to impact multiple businesses. And that was part of the draw of funding this one. Again, using local contractors, highly visible improvements are being proposed, and it is in alignment with a number of town priorities as listed here. And then finally, we have Ocean Park Inn. I think we also have representatives. Hi, thank you for coming. And I'm sorry if I missed anybody else that was. Yep, did I miss you? I don't think we've met. Hi. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Eagle Wing Inn also here. Thank you. So Ocean Park Inn, just under $20,000 of an award amount. And this application is going to be improving their parking lot. So resurfacing and restriping of the parking lot, as well as new flower beds along Route 6. And this will extend the same style of planting that's seen at the Four Point Sheridan, which is owned by the same owners. So it'll be a nice match to what's currently there. Again, another highly visible couple of properties and very much in alignment with our town and program priorities, as well as voluntary compliance with our Northeastham landscaping regulations being obtained through this project. So that's what I have for you. I'm happy to take questions, or if you want to hear from any of these guys, they're here.
Yeah, that was a great presentation. I'm so psyched everybody's here too. Thank you for coming. I'll ask the board if they have questions. Yeah, Art?
Well, it's not a question. It's, there were, I don't, how many projects did you say in total?
20.
Right. And they were all good. I mean, there wasn't a project among them that you could say, nah, I don't want to do that. They were all really good. So I think this shows that we need to continue this program. Because it is going to make a big difference. So I want to thank you for all the work you guys did. And congratulations to the people that got the awards. And I think there's a lot more we can do.
Anyone else from the board? Stan?
Will you remind me how this was funded?
This was a grant or
This was through American Rescue Plan
The
Act
town
funding.
ARPA funds.
that's what it was.
Yeah,
All right.
okay. all
Yeah.
right. So if we wanted to continue to fund it in the future, we would have to find a different funding source.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, and this originally, a lot of this, the motivation for this came out again during COVID, when we did the family support package.
Yeah, we initially called it the business support
Package,
package.
that was,
right,
this
right.
was what this was, and it kind of evolved into this, what it is today. And so just like sitting back and seeing it happening now is really exciting, for me. And yes, the idea of getting creative to try to keep it sustainable would be a pretty, pretty high priority, I think. Yeah.
Does the CDP have a similar program?
No, there's not a program like this
They'd have
in
to be
Eastham,
historic.
no. And in fact, I'm not aware, I know there have been similar programs run in the past in Barnstable and perhaps the Upper Cape, but they're not ongoing annual programs. It was
Mm.
maybe a 1 or 2 year thing. Those were ones that we looked at, and their funding source was through CDBG funds, which was very challenging because there was a lot of income restrictions and additional requirements that were placed on those. We have been approached by the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce and have a potential grant opportunity through the state. The Massachusetts Office of Business Development has some funding that could potentially be available to us. We've just submitted a letter of support, and we're hoping to secure some additional funding to continue. But again, it's just a a matter of looking for available funding that matches.
Jerry.
Lauren, did you have a cap on how much each project, so did they have here's the most you could ask for?
25,000
25,000.
maximum request amount. Mhm.
For
and again-
25,000 that would come out of our funds, and then they had the 20% match.
Correct. Yeah. And in some cases, the proposals included a provision for more than 20%. So if there was a gap
Hmm.
after our max of 25 and then their 20% contribution, and there was still more, then that would have fallen on the applicant to do. And they were willing to do it. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of pent up need and deferred work that, that's the other thing, is seeing some of these projects. It was really tough to Arts Right. There were so many quality proposals and so much great potential.
So if we're looking to the future and trying to find funding, and we find, what's the magic number that you're looking for example, in the next fiscal year? 125, or do you think it should be more, or is it?
Always
Yeah.
more.
Whatever you can get, Art?
I would say
Yeah.
at minimum
gonna s-
125.
There's
One-
14
yeah.
more out there currently.
At least, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, with 125, we had, 6 projects out of 20 that we were able to
Right.
do.
Yes.
I mean,
Great.
even
You
if we
know-
did 4
300,000.
projects a year, it would be or
Right.
every other year or something. It
Right,
would
yeah.
be-
Yeah.
We have a lot of businesses. I mean, when you look at our registered business list, they don't all have storefronts or brick and mortar space, but we have 300 something registered businesses in our town, and that's a little known piece of information, but of course, they wouldn't all be eligible for this program, but I think, there's a lot of need out there. So,
Well, all of these were on the Route 6 corridor, right?
Mhm. Yeah, but they stretch, it seemed like from south to north.
they
Yeah, it's
do,
very
there-
nice
it's a good
coverage. Yeah.
geographic
Yeah.
coverage.
Well,
Yeah.
One of the criteria that we looked at was high visibility of the improvement.
Okay.
So being on Route 6 gives you the most visibility possible, even though they're going by
Oh,
at
too
60
fast. I
60
understand.
miles an hour.
If they go slow.
It gives you the most
I was gonna say,
visibility.
if they go slow enough, Art, I understand.
Yeah, when you start to think about the potential it can unlock
Right.
too for
Right.
so many businesses that,
Right.
yeah, fly under the radar.
Yeah, and this is certainly your first foray into really trying to support business development as opposed to residents. I mean, we usually look at programs for individual residents, so this is exciting.
And then I think Suzanne had a quick
I
question.
was wondering about so were these projects that the businesses already had to have in process? I'm wondering who how do I put this? Are there people who are just gonna go through with the project anyway on their own personal cost? Or are there businesses where they're like, okay, this is not getting done because I didn't get awarded the grant?
It runs the full spectrum.
Probably both,
There are
yeah.
some who are intending to move forward without the funding. There are some that are intending to move forward, but with a scaled back scope because they can't afford everything that they wanted to do. And then there are some who won't do anything because they simply don't have the funds to move forward without it. I talked to a few who said, if we're not able to secure the award, then we wouldn't be able to do the project. And that's really where it gets tough, because you see the potential that they're proposing and then to just not see it happen is tough. But yeah,
It's expensive.
it is very expensive. And 25,000, you asked about the max, that came again from comparable programs that we looked at around the state as we were putting the program structure together. We selected that amount pre-inflation, but I think it allowed for a good introductory process.
A couple of years back, I attended a bunch of meetings that Lauren called with various businesses. And the general consensus was that Eastham doesn't support its business community. And I heard that a number of times, that they really don't pay attention to the business community. And I think since Lauren and Paul have tackled this, they're beginning to realize that we do support the businesses and they're very important part of the community. So I think the more that we do of this, the better that's going to be. Because I think it is important to help our businesses grow and to attract new businesses. So I think we've turned around or are beginning to turn around that perception.
And it's interesting, we've had such good business development,
Yes.
you know, and following Art, I mean, I think it was your idea going into the strategic planning process that we fund an economic development planner. So thank you, because Lauren wouldn't be here without that. And we have sort of incrementally really tried to take a look at business interests and cultivating what it is that you guys need to thrive, because we all love having you here.
Yeah, we want to keep the businesses we
We
have.
wanna keep our
They
businesses.
contribute to our quality of life here, and so much of it is about listening and building relationships. And so that's what we've tried to do, and think it's reaping rewards, we hope.
Yeah, another question for Amy?
Yeah, I just wanted to compliment you on the presentation. It was awesome.
Oh,
And the whole process. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when we first heard about this, I was like, wait, what? We're gonna pay businesses to,
How are we gonna do this?
how are we gonna do this? Yeah, here it is. That wasn't that long ago,
No. Yep.
was it? It was in
It
the
was like
fall,
right
right?
when
Late
we were talking
summer?
about, well, it started with the family support.
Yep.
That's when the discussion
But,
started.
oh, you weren't. here
And you
yet.
guys are like, well, what about the
Seems like
businesses?
yesterday.
Yeah.
But no, really,
You're like-
really great work and congratulations to everyone. Can't wait to see.
We look
Yeah.
forward to bringing the after photos back to
Yeah,
you.
Nice,
yeah,
yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Yes, please.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Ribbon cutting, as they're saying. Get
Can you-
festive.
Lauren, can you introduce
Yeah.
them so we can?
Oh,
see
yeah,
which
why don't you come up and
businesses here?
introduce yourselves? Yeah.
No pressure.
Don't be
No
shy.
pressure.
Don't be shy.
Good evening. My name is Milan Svetkov and I'm the owner of Ben and Jerry's. And I would like, thank you. I would like to thank Warren for a job well done. I think this is one of the fastest processes that I ever witnessed coming from a government agency. So thank you very much. Very efficient. To answer your question, I also applied for another business that I own, which is Eastham Cafe and next to Ben and Jerry's. And I did not get funding, but I will do the patio all the way away to, to cover in front of the coffee shop. I won't be able to have to
Yep.
do the rest of the application because I'm just have limited funding. But I'm probably not the only one who will do more. Even though we did not get, funding for the rest of the businesses. So again, thank you very much. And thank you. And I think you should keep, if you have any other sources in the future, I think this is a great program. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is John Osbrock. I've been paying taxes for almost 12 years and I've never been in here, so this is nice.
Welcome. We don't bite.
Yeah,
Before I say anything, I just want to say, been in the business a long time and been part of a community like this up in New Hampshire and part of many associations. I just want to compliment on all of you. You guys are doing a great job. And I also want to say that there was a question about the businesses. Sometimes businesses get a bad rap in communities because it brings in traffic. It brings in more people and some people, and I don't blame them. They got their home, they got their beautiful ocean. They don't want all this traffic. I agree. But businesses are needed. And that's reality. And these businesses, every one of these and the ones that are out there are paying taxes, collecting taxes and supporting this community. And this is something we have to realize. And when you make an investment to your 401k, you hope to get that back even more in the future. Well, that's what this lady's doing. She's opening a 401k plan for this town. In addition, these businesses work day and night continuously. Staffing has been terrible last 2 years, absolutely terrible. So when the question comes around to say, well, are these businesses, are they gonna be doing it because they're getting this money? Well, you know, the businesses are gonna do things as much as they can for what they have, and having a seasonal business is very difficult. But when I saw this program, and whether I got it or not, it's not the end of the world. I would have done it anyways, okay? But I wouldn't have done it at this scope. Now I'm gonna do it even better. So it's a caveat for me to say, I might do it for 20,000, but geez, you're throwing in 20, I'll do a $50,000 project. Well, everybody wins. And that's how this works. So nobody's getting any free ride here. This is all part of the town. No one's gonna move the stone walls when they sell the place. It's staying. And that's what we all have to remember. And it's the same thing with neighborhoods. When you drive down your neighborhood and you see some guy chopping every tree and you're like, oh my God, you know, business is the same way. The more we support businesses, whether it's Ben and Jerry's or the Ocean Park Inn, any of these, it's our community. And I want to thank you guys for supporting us, supporting local businesses, because we're here to stay. We're part of the community. We're also residents. We also have residential homes here as well. We're year round, but we also work in town. So I just wanted to compliment you all. I wanted to compliment Lauren. This is, I mean, a great asset. You go down to like Orleans, you go to Chatham, and I'll tell you, Eastham has a lot of potential. And if we can just spruce up some of that Route 6, better for everybody. I wanted to thank everybody. And I also wanted to thank the fire department. This fire department is unbelievable. I love it.
Thank you.
More businesses on Route 6 are, they might slow up a little bit because they're going in and out.
Jackie, we just found our new PR man.
Yeah, really.
Hi, I'm Melody Edson. I'm the owner of Inn at the Oaks with my husband, Paul. He is off Cape tonight for doctor's appointments otherwise. I think you saw him 2 weeks ago or
Yeah.
whenever you guys got together. So we're very excited about doing this because if I had $1 for every person who walked into the inn and said, I couldn't find you,
Yeah.
it's gonna make it so much easier and hopefully, I also felt like we really needed to do this because it was becoming like a safety concern almost with the way people fly. I don't get why people are doing 60 miles an hour down that street, but hopefully
Preaching to the
by,
choir.
huh?
You're preaching to the choir here.
I know.
Yeah, boy.
But hopefully by
We're
opening it
trying.
up,
We're
opening it
trying.
up and people will actually slow down
Yeah,
and
'cause they
say,
see things.
what is that
Yeah.
building? Never saw that before. So
Yeah.
hopefully that will help, but we're really excited about it. And we also are going to do everything we can to make sure that we use native plantings and just try to keep everything as Cape Cod as possible. I love it down here. We've been down here now. We just finished our 4th season and it's been an insane time with COVID and all that, but we've still done very well. I think you guys support the businesses terrific. I think the Eastham Chamber of Commerce does a terrific job, and I think the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce does as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing all these improvements. I think it's going to be a win-win for absolutely everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
They're trying.
Hi, so my name is Lilia. I'm the ops manager at the 4 Points and Ocean Park Inn. I want to thank you guys for doing this. I've recently come to Eastham. I used to work in Middleborough. So I'm still new to this area. The general manager couldn't be here today. She's sick, sadly, but she would love to be here, but we really appreciate this. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Oh, this is awesome.
One more note, all this funding will go to local contractors.
Yeah,
Local contractors as well. Yeah, so it's a two-sided.
yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We need to have more meetings like this.
Yeah.
I know, this is a good one.
Yeah, I was like, wow, we did it. Awesome. We don't need to vote. This is
But you
done.
know, I'm sorry, government is slow and we always talk about how slow government is, and we know we're slow. We know that there's regulations and laws that govern everything, but you guys had an idea. And Lauren and Paul together
Made it happen.
made it happen. And it wasn't that long ago. So, thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank Art and Pam Anderson and Jim Russo, as well as our entire staff team. This, again, the levels of review and study that were taken to ensure that these projects are in compliance on our regulatory side, also very important, not nearly as fun and happy, but very, very critical. And so they turned them around very quickly. And that is, that deserves a lot of credit for how fast we were able to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for coming.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Hey.
So
Right.
you all know that picture you saw the Eagle Wing with the box torn apart. It looked ugly. The sign was not. We had a drunk driver to take that out.
Oh, no.
That gave me a reason to fix the whole area.
Yeah.
I keep a better.
All right. Next, licensing, less exciting, sorry.
Mhm.
So first is the renewal of the common vic licenses for the Eastham, Mass, F&B doing businesses shared in 4 Points, Willie's World Wellness and Conference Center, and 25 Restaurant Inc. doing business as Good Eats, and Sylvanus Knowles House doing business as Fort Hill Bed and Breakfast.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of the common victular licenses as stated.
I'll second it.
Okay, and I will be, just so folks know, I'm gonna call the vote, the way we actually are allowed to before. I've only been used to calling out everybody's name individually because I've only been chair during COVID. And so I'm used to Zoom meetings,
And there's no one remote.
but there's no one remote, so I don't have to do that. So the process is just, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, seeing no one, we'll move on.
I just want to know you could make sure you could pronounce our names. That's all.
Right? Oh, I got it down now. I didn't even know there was another way. Okay. Next is renewal of all alcohol on-premise liquor licenses for Eastham, Mass, F&B doing businesses shared in 4 Points, and Willie's World Wellness and Conference Center.
I make a motion, we approve the renewal of the all alcohol licenses for Eastham, Sheridan, and Willie's World.
Second.
Okay, and I'm just gonna note, because if anybody went online and went on the packet, the full menu somehow it didn't scan correctly, but it was there. And it matches the one on the website too, so we had a printout here.
For
as well.
Willie's.
For Willie's.
Yeah. yeah.
I can also correct the
Yeah.
packet. on
Oh,
the
great.
website.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, administrative matters. Yay. So the first is
Finally.
H3794 Eastham Charter, Senate amendments.
So we got a notice from Sarah Peak's office saying that we needed a new vote on the changes. And she sent through the draft of the changes, and they were identical to the ones that we voted on in June. So they've already been voted on and they've been certified by Cindy and sent back. But for some reason, when it went from the Senate to the House,
They lost.
don't laugh, they wanted it again. So Lori and I are totally confused. Lori sent an email to Sarah's office this morning saying, is this sufficient or should we vote again? And we didn't get anything back in time for the meeting. So I think you should just vote
Vote
it again.
again.
I'll make a motion to approve. I don't know, their supposed changes.
I'll second it.
Alleged change.
I'll
Alleged
second it.
changes.
I'll second it.
God.
Hopefully it'll be the last time we have to talk about it for 10 years.
Right. Oh, my God. We're going to be ready to do another charter change.
Yeah. All in
7
favor?
years.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay. All right. Next is DEP proposed regulation for public comment is due in by 5 PM on December 16th, 2022. Did you, I guess Jane is gonna be,
Yeah, we've asked Jane to write up some bullet points for us to make into comments. And if you guys like to read regulations, Jerry,
I read
and
them.
yeah, see, of course. And you have specific comments you'd like included, just send them to Lori and we'll,
yeah. And I
Okay.
will say that Jerry's questions, I did, some of
Yeah.
those very same questions came up for me. And then when I was going through the emails and I saw that, actually felt a lot of relief because I was like, perfect, he's covered
So,
all and then some, so.
Yeah, the only other question that came up looking at what the DEP came in and when we're gonna respond to them, and she may not have the information. How many NSAs, nitrogen sensitive areas, NSAs, are there in Eastham? And we know Salt Pond is one. I think Rock Harbor is one. I just don't know if there are others.
and on all the ponds,
Freshwater.
All the
ponds.
fresh-
yeah, all the
Freshwater
freshwater
Yeah.
ponds. So there's a lot. We're not that
That's
wide.
estuary.
Right. No, we're, yeah, listen, it's close and
Yeah.
the
It's-
other,
Most of the town
yeah.
is covered by some water body.
And the only other issue in reading this, if we're doing something I'm gonna use an example, just pulling numbers out of the air. If we need to get 1,000 tons of nitrogen out of Salt Pond, and we would need to get 200 tons of nitrogen out of Rock Harbor, and what we put in for Salt Pond gets 1,200 tons out. Reading the regs, I don't think we can shift it over to say, oh, we've got it, so you still have to do the 200 pounds
Right.
from Rock Harbor. So I think when we look at this, when we come down to the plan, which thank goodness we can do a plan, we need to look, I'm pro-environment, but we have to worry about taxes. We need to make sure we tailor the plan so we get the amount of tonnage out that we need and not pay for getting more out of each one, because that'd
Right,
be a hurt.
And it needs to be, and I didn't understand this, I had to have them explain it to me a couple of times. It needs to be a neutral impact, impact neutral situation. So we have to make sure that we are cleaning up what we need to clean up. And in addition, we leave some capacity for any new development proposed. Otherwise, there can't be any new development.
Right.
So the impact has to be, we have to convince them that the capacity that we're designing is enough. That the
Is enough
problem,
for future growth.
yes,
For planned future growth. Can't
Yes.
be perfect, but planned
Right.
future growth as well.
Yeah, but that's only within those
Within the
areas.
zone.
right.
Right. Okay, it wouldn't affect like, say, a property up, far away, say from Salt Pond or,
I don't know what the new DEP regulations
Yeah.
might.
well, like, say it's something, across from Willie's over there.
Like what's the
A
buffer?
property,
Well,
a
yeah.
vacant piece of property that doesn't impact any fresh water.
Then it would,
and-
might have the same, the same,
Since it wouldn't
Title
contribute,
V.
that wouldn't necessarily be prohibited. It's
That's
just
what
in
I-
there.
Suzanne had Jerry's question.
You mentioned, so the 16th is before our next meeting. Jane is gonna make some comments.
Mhm.
And
Formally.
if you would
formally
like to
submit.
make comments, just send them to Lori and we will put them all together.
I was wondering if there's a way that we could review them before they get sent.
To see Jane's comments before Jane's been doing this. I
I don't know.
guess.
I mean,
guess
I
you
think
could
the
come in
thing
and
is, you can make comments on your own if you
Yeah.
would like to. You can make comments as a board if you'd like to, but we'd need to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I personally would defer to Jane on all of
And
this.
I'm knowing
given-
Jane, I'm sure she would meet with you and discuss if you have some things you'd like to
Yeah.
add and
You wanted
maybe even
to-
show you her comments.
Right, just so you can
she's like
see them
that. She
ahead of
would-
time.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion.
Okay, so are we not gonna send one as a board?
I don't think so as a board. For me, I'm gonna, again, defer to Jane's comments, but at the same time, if I personally wanted to add something in addition to, or ask questions in addition to, like Jerry did in his email, you can do that. But it would be as an individual.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, Jerry.
Yeah, from the Jane could send us a copy, and each of us potentially could send in our comments, not together, but just directly to Jane, and that doesn't,
Right.
that's not a meeting, so you could do that, so
But your
Okay,
comments
thank
aren't,
Jane
it's not in response to what she writes. What Jane is submitting is what Jane is
Response
submitting.
For
We
the
are not-
town,
for the
yeah.
town.
Would be our
We're
comments.
not
Okay.
editing that.
If you want
Yeah.
to compile something, what I'm suggesting is send all your comments to Lori,
Okay.
not to Jane, because Jane doesn't compile things for you. Send it to Lori, and Lori will keep track of it, and then we can circulate it. And as long as you make comments to Lori,
It will end
we're
up.
good.
Yep.
Just don't
Right.
talk to one another.
Yes, yeah. One question for me, that I think it's not for the comments that Jane is gonna write, but for the future. We really, at some point, we need to know the boundary of the NSAs, each NSA, and therefore the residences and or businesses that are located within the boundaries who would, if we don't do anything, would have to upgrade within 5 years their septic system. The reason I say that is that's how I think we need to start to plan to set up how we are going to present this to the town. Because this is not going to be, I mean, I don't know what the prices are, but it's going to be one that's not going to make us dancing on the table. And we can get some
The price of what?
of whatever the wastewater plan is going to cost
Okay.
us that we're going to have to put together. So we just need to know exactly who would be impacted if we do nothing. I think the thing is, if we do, the thing to tell the town, if we do nothing,
This is what.
here are the people who are going to have to, within 5 years, pay whatever the amount is to put in a brand new septic system
Mhm.
that
That's
meets
right.
their
Way to mention
advanced
and way
I5.
to hopefully maybe try to clarify some of your questions, Jerry, but there is a cost of doing nothing, right?
Yes.
There's a cost, and there's a cost to
Presumably,
individual
the reason you
taxpayers.
would do something is because that still gonna be a cost and therefore your
It would be
taxes are gonna
less.
go up.
Right,
But presumably it's gonna be less cost, more cost effective as a whole, as a community to approach the problem.
that's
Which is
what we
what
want
Amy's
to,
brought up in the past.
that's
too.
what we want to put together.
But the other clarifying point is a lot of the wastewater planning that happens across the Cape is because of the Mass Estuaries project back 20+ years ago.
Mhm.
It's targeting specific watersheds.
Yeah.
For nitrogen reduction, for TMDL reduction. But these regulations go beyond that. So you got a very
Yeah.
valid question, right? So we've got a smaller subset of estuaries that need to be addressed through the current wastewater planning. But the regulations address nitrogen sensitive areas that are area bigger than the
Yeah.
wastewater planning, likely much of the town. So the cost of doing nothing becomes much more significant.
And that's clearly the goal of these new regulations,
Yeah.
is for every property. It really is. The goal is for every property
Right.
to upgrade or be connected to some kind of larger plan.
I think, thank you for, I'm just gonna say one thing, Rich, thank you for saying that, because one of my questions was, where is this pressure originating from, right? And you're talking about this program from 20 years ago, the Mass Estuaries Project, but that it's kind of blown up in scope. And I just find it odd that the state would come down so hard on communities post-COVID, economic, essentially, a lot of our communities are in a little bit of a crisis with housing and economically, that I can't wrap my brain around the why and the timeline.
So the
Yes.
why is, I mean, we're being
Well, this is
sued.
30 years of litigation with the Conservation Law Foundation and other conservation groups
Mhm.
in 2012 or 13, somewhere along there.
They won.
No, they didn't win, but we settled. DEP and CLF settled, and the settlement required DEP to take certain specific actions. So one of the first actions is working with regional planning agencies like the Cape Cod Commission. That's where we got this
The
208
208
regulations.
plan.
And forcing us to do some planning and submit watershed management plans and, fertilizer regulations and all
Right.
that. So that's been a number of years. And that was to give us all time to get our acts together to start doing more comprehensive wastewater planning, which
we
lots
did
of towns have
start,
done.
yeah.
But there's a sensitivity there of how fast are we moving? Is it fast enough?
Is it fast enough? And it's really not. I mean, we've
And,
really been very slow,
So, and
like turtles.
however you perceive it, right, wrong, or indifferent, the CLF has pursued this type of litigation across the country in different places. There was a pretty famous case in Hawaii a couple of years ago that settled that says, helps define point source pollution and treatment plants and all that stuff that's being applied to Massachusetts. And the bottom line is the largest contributor of point source nitrogen pollution to our waterways is
Septic.
septic systems, period. 80 to 85% of that.
I mean, when we talk about like 14% from road runoff,
Yeah,
you know,
like nothing. Nothing. Dogs.
fertilizers, you get like 5% for that.
So this shouldn't be a surprise, it is a surprise to everybody, but it ought not be. I mean, this has been going on for 30 years. And then the last 20 years has really heated up.
Mhm.
And then last 10 years, action has been happening slowly but surely. And just a handful of years ago, before I got in Eastham, I almost couldn't say it in another community, was it because they'd kill you, but you didn't, you want to
We'll
say,
only-
you
we'll only
don't
beat him here.
control your own destiny. Someone's gonna control it for you.
The state will do that.
And that's essentially what these regulations are. It's forcing everybody to do something because the cost to address it community-wide is cheaper than 5,000 individuals addressing it individually. Right.
And they have given us some tools with the short-term rental tax and the Cape Water Protection Fund. And I mean, they're not enough. They are a drop in the bucket compared to the cost, but at least they have tried to give us some tools to assist in this process. And, one of the other things is if it's not in a watershed that's ours, it could be in an Orleans or a Wellfleet watershed. And that's what, I found out when I was looking out at Maurice's. That we contribute to that. And those are houses in Northeastham that wouldn't be anywhere near a water body of ours.
So I have a couple questions. One, when can we expect them to tell us where the sensitive nitrogen areas are? Have they mapped that? Or is it just like, we're gonna make them and then at some future
I don't
date
know.
tell
We'll
us
have to
what they
ask
are or
Jane.
where they are? My other question is, in this comment section, comment period, is it likely that they're gonna change the regulation, or is it just more likely that maybe they'll, okay, all right. And then the third question is, I would like the state to maybe offer more funding options. So if we're gonna do a sewer for part of the town, and then like the rest of the town needs to somehow figure out new septic systems.
No, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
If we have an approved watershed management plan, then everyone else is exempt.
Because we've taken the required amount.
So
up.
if we do our PRB, our sewer, our
Right.
IA systems, that collection of
We hit our
things,
goal.
and DEP approves it and it meets our goal, then everyone else
Oh,
doesn't have to worry
I
about.
somehow thought there was gonna be like another area
No,
that was going to,
If we do.
and
nothing.
that's the way that the state DEP thinks that they are supporting us.
Yeah.
okay, I thought that there was gonna be an area that we weren't gonna sewer and the only option for it was gonna be updating people's septic.
No,
Oh, okay, all right. all
Good.
right.
There is money.
But I still would like there to be some money for people to update their septics.
Well,
because
yeah,
I
there
think that's
is,
part
well,
of the
so they've already changed the regulation so that the septic loan program can cover people hooking up to sewers or doing IA systems. So that's a new thing. And the state is putting money, the 200 million that they had like a carrot out to us, they're putting some of that money into that program.
So there's, zero interest loans, kind of like with the water.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
things we can get, grants we can get, and there's the Cape money.
Yeah,
The.
That should pay
short-term
for
rental,
25%.
Extra short-term rental tax.
The state's
That we can-
perspective is that was one of the genesis of the short-term rental tax locally.
Yep.
As far as the state was concerned, that
Oh.
was their contribution to the wastewater problems of Cape Cod
For us.
Unlocking that level for us to.
and the Cape and Islands Water Protection Trust that was added into that.
And the other basic thing that I think everyone else in the state probably thinks is that really we should have done this like 30 or 40 years ago, like everybody else did, and we didn't. And so here we are being forced to do it.
I did listen to some of the comments, some of they had a Zoom meeting on them, and one of the things that stood out was that the state really doesn't have an IA system for me. You know, if my house, if I had to replace it, they don't have that system. And I think there was a huge push from the public comments saying you can't force us to do something when you don't tell us what we have to do.
Yeah.
So that's another issue I think we need to be ready for when we're looking to try and present whatever we have to present to the town to set it up. as
That was the
best we
very
can.
first question I ever got when I started doing wastewater planning at a public forum. A guy came up to me and said, up in New Hampshire or Maine, something like that, I can do this IA system for $10,000. If I did 10,000 times every resident in Yarmouth, it would be less than your plan. Like, great, you're right, but call the DEP and talk to Brian Dudley and see how many approved systems he has on his list. And the answer is 0.
And they're 35 to 50,000 right now.
And just because you use it
Yeah.
somewhere else doesn't mean you can use it here.
Here in the
Soils are
state, yeah.
different and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So to your point, they need to get IA system, approved systems on their list so people have someone to call. And then the other problem is you can't have however many tens of thousands of people across Cape Cod calling the one person that sells the
Right,
IA system all
yeah.
at the same time.
To do it in 5 years.
Do it in
Yes,
5
we're trying to get people lined up to just get water in Eastham, yeah.
All right. Okay. Think we're good to move on?
Yeah,
All right.
sorry.
It's okay. You had to balance out that wonderful part of the meeting that we had earlier, so we're good now. Report on emergency management tabletop exercise workshop. So this was held on Wednesday. And, our Amy, Jerry, you guys made it. It was awesome. It was organized by, Chief Bohannon. And it brought in folks from the commission, sorry.
It's county.
County, thank you. We also had chiefs from departments in Orleans, Wellfleet. We had most of our department heads, and it was a tabletop discussion to go over what our emergency planning is going to be when we have things like winter storms or major events. How does the town respond? And how do all of the parts move together?
Eversource was there.
Eversource was there. That was awesome. Actually, that was a big part too.
She's great.
Yeah. I thought it was fantastic, and they did even offer, Chief Deering in Orleans, the fire chief, offered, further coursework if anybody wanted to attend for elected
In
officials.
January. I
January.
believe, yeah.
There's one in December, one in January. I can forward the email.
Okay, great.
But yeah, it was really impressive, and I really salute Chief Bohannon for pulling that together, because I think the only way to appropriately respond to an emergency situation is to already know how you're going to respond.
So that we're just dealing with the gaps or
Right.
the unexpected.
Like the generators going.
Yeah, like the generator's dying and
Jerry?
Well, I sadly had to leave early, but there was one item that bothered me from the point I was there when Eversource said that they had a list of individuals in the area that need electricity for life support
Yep.
systems. And they said, we just know that to try and, but it's not, it doesn't put them on a priority list. And my thoughts were, and you may already do this, do we have the list of people? Can we get that? Can the town get that to know who in town needs electricity for life support, for oxygen, et cetera? And potentially, if we're out of electricity, to try and see if we can focus to try and help them.
Well,
I just thought that was something.
I think one of the things we talked about was working with the COA to make sure that folks knew that that service was an option, that they could sign up with Eversource to be on that list. As far as like, sending out, it's good to have that list cross communicated between the town and
I
Eversource.
think, don't we supply that list to Eversource?
no, they have to
have
have
to
to
apply.
send their stuff in, but most
But I
people
remember
do
Like when
We
my
have
father-in-law lived
it
with
too.
us,
Yeah.
the fire department came and did this whole questionnaire.
Yep.
And they put a lockbox on.
there's no
It was,
doubt in my
to the
mind
CO
that
COA.
between fire, police and COA, we know
Someone
who
got them
those
registered, yeah.
people
we didn't
are.
need electricity, but
But sometimes it means, I think what Ronit was saying is that oftentimes it means that we have to contact those people and say, we are sure, we are confident that we're going to have some power outages. We don't know where they are going to be. And if you have another
The
place to
push
go,
Exactly. That's
go.
more what it's
That's right.
about than.
if you don't, let someone know that you might need to shelter, you know, so I
And
think.
then they know if someone's sheltering, they can reach out to that person. And then if there's no answer,
Yeah.
then they reach out to our rescue directly.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of those people are on our reassurance list too.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah,
no, it was great.
that was fantastic. Yeah, and I'll forward the email with the information about the other classes.
And we're going to follow up with more meetings as we,
Yes.
go through what our protocols are going to be for this year.
Yeah, yeah, I really was.
Do you do this
impressed.
yearly?
This was the,
This is the first time we've done it. Usually we participate in other towns' sessions and then we do our planning kind of behind the scenes. This is the first time that we've done a big kickoff for the town, all our employees and elected
department heads
officials
were
and
there.
huge turnout.
so that everybody can know what the basic things we're thinking through are, so that, when you start getting texts from me, you'll know that we're in a certain operational mode and certain things will be open but
Great.
I think what is different for us this year in particular is that we're losing the shelter at the high school. So
Yeah.
we have to create our own new shelter at the elementary school. And we have to figure out how to do the
Transport.
warming centers and
It's not
how,
a regional shelter, it's
Right.
just.
Just these two.
so.
All right.
Great. Next, board committee education policy, input and discussion. We had some letter responses in our packet regarding that. So I can open that up to discussion. Art?
Yeah, it seemed like the biggest concern was the onus it was gonna put on the committee members and the amount of time it was gonna take.
Mhm.
And the fact that they had to go to X number of courses, et cetera. So I think the plan is good. My question would be, is it too much?
Sounded like it was too much.
Yeah.
Well, I think
That
the
was-
Board of Health, they wrote in and said, make it over 2 years, not over 1 year, I think was their suggestion. You could expand it, to expand the time.
And really try to bring the training here as opposed to having to
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah, most of it is online now.
Most was
Yeah,
online,
if
yeah.
it's online, yeah, you can get it.
I agree that I think it's really comprehensive and it's meant to be. And the issue really is it a suggestion
Or is it a requirement?
or are you going to
Requirement.
require any piece of it? And I think what it does is it puts everything that anyone could need in one spot.
Mhm.
And that's what I liked about it. It has, the way Shayna did it, it has all the regulations for each board and committee so that they can see the actual statutes that drive what they're regulating, right? Plus all the training opportunities and what the basic courses are. So I like the fact that it's just information. But I also think that, these regulatory boards they're making decisions that have
Legal.
impact on residents, like significant financial and other impacts on residents. And they are deciding cases for the town that result in
Right.
litigation and appeals and a lot of time and time consuming effort. So the more educated they are, the better. It's just that it just comes down to that. And I think however we can encourage them to do it, we should encourage them to do it, whether it's a requirement or not, I think that's.
A crazy idea. What if here are 5 statutes that and there are 5 courses for each statute and you have a 5-person board. can you look to say, Jerry, you do statute
a great idea.
1 and Jamie, you do statute 2? It's similar to other bodies where you rely on an expert.
Mhm.
This person becomes sort of an expert. I mean, it's not
And that's how
ideal.
kind of the board does it, or we have in the past, where someone becomes the subject
Right.
matter expert for the board, and that way the work is spread out. And I think most boards function well, and then we just, every once in a while, we have people who love to be on the board, but they don't particularly
No.
study up.
Well, yeah, what if you made these goals shared? Right? So annually as a board.
You
these
have to-
goals Have to be met. As a shared responsibility by all members.
I was wondering if there was, if we could pick something that was required that was smaller. Like, so each individual is required to do X that covers the most of the information that they need covered.
Like the introductory.
Yeah, like the fundamentals for conservation commissioners. I mean, that's something really.
That's a basic
everybody
101,
should
right?
know,
Yeah.
Right?
Is that the one course or is that 3?
Oh, Karen gave us
Yeah.
a long, where's the letter?
I think it's just one.
I mean, I guess I would maybe defer to the different committees to be like, if. Like, what is the most crucial thing? That they, like, what's the most bang for people's buck?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, I mean, yes, reading the regulation is kind of implied, but like, what might be the most like. Comprehensive educational thing that someone could attend. And have that be the requirement.
Yeah, and
I don't
think
know if there
we
is just
could
one,
also,
but-
you know, we could use town council. They used to do a lot of free training for us, but they probably wouldn't if we asked for it every year, but you know, to do, you know, they've come down and done like how to write a regulation, but they could also go over the basics of each of the subject areas too, and do a Q&A with each board once a year. I don't know if that would help, but.
I mean, I think the compromise of what I might feel comfortable with is this idea of maybe approaching each of these committees and seeing what's the one thing, right? What's the one thing that absolutely you have to have done and making that required for all members and having your, you know, annual goals that can be met collectively. Maybe.
I agree. Trying to find probably the
The
one
main thing.
thing that you
yeah.
need to go through, and that definitely has to happen. And once you do that, maybe then you can tack on, as you go on, here are some other opportunities, but you have to do this,
Mhm.
okay? Trying to, you know, like this complete 2 continuing education
tough.
courses, et cetera.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's all great stuff, and I think people like Mary would do it, but she does all that stuff.
And people like Karen Strauss, she could have written the thing.
I know, but like,
but-
I've never had time to do all those.
But for the majority of,
Yeah, the
majority of
Conservation
majority of volunteers, they're not gonna put, they're gonna have a hard time putting in that much time.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna turn people off to volunteering. Oh, I gotta go to 2 continuing education courses. I have to go to an annual conference. This is something I'm doing, you know, to have just as for a good time. It's not something I want
But
to make a permanent job.
Well, I think what I'm saying is that this,
That's the problem.
the annual thing would be still required, but not by everybody on the board, that it would be collective, right? So as a board, you need to check all these things off collectively. Do you know what I mean? So
Maybe
like,
the chair does.
like
the-
I do a continuing ed course,
Conference.
Amy does a continuing ed course, then we can check that off. You attend the joint regulatory board meeting, and you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
kind of
then
thing.
as a, you're right, or stagger it, you know, everybody does You do one thing, then the next year you do.
You do, yeah, exactly. And you rotate it, you know,
And you
but
bring it back, like you guys
You're
do when
not
you do
having to do-
liaison reports. You bring it
Right.
back to the board and say,
Right.
this is what I learned.
so that way you're still keeping the collective level up without putting that burden on every single individual. Just the one required thing per individual and then the collective requirement annually.
Yeah, because that first call, like, just pick out Conservation Commission here, that first column, the add appointment. That, most of that is pretty basic, except for the first thing.
Yep.
Complete the fundamentals for conservation commissioners
Yeah.
within the first year.
And they're the only ones that have like a multi,
But that obviously needs to be done in the first year. And then the rest of it's pretty, is, you know, a quick thing. And then I love the idea of splitting up
Yeah.
the annual requirement between different members.
Yeah.
Because it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know the hesitation is that maybe people will be intimidated by not serving, but it doesn't really serve our town or our residents to have people who loosely know what they're doing on the board anyway. And
Yeah.
so,
And I
I
think
thought-
that there's a learning curve on any board. And so, you know, you want someone who's spending the first 6 months or so really listening and, you know, maybe reading more or participating more or looking at cases without talking about them for a while. And then slowly starting to dip their toe in. Sometimes we have board turnovers and that can't happen because we have like 3 or 4 new people and then, you know, that. So there's a lot of handicapping factors. This is a hard job to be on a regulatory board. So I have compassion. On the other hand, you know, I see the results of when it doesn't work and
I think the most important thing about any one of these boards is to have a strong chairman that can mentor, teach, lead, and control is a bad word, but really someone that's the expert that can help anyone on the committee to understand why there's a regulation or a regulation they should look at. But I think the stronger the chairman is, the more effective the board is.
Agree. But that we can't always control.
yeah, because all the boards elect their own chairman
Yeah.
too, so.
So that's
And
why I
usually
like
they
doing
choose the
this.
most experienced person.
Right. But having this sort of thing in the back pocket kind of helps
Yeah.
guide that, as you know.
So maybe we set up guidance as opposed to requirements.
Yeah, and even just right over that
One requirement and
annually,
then guidance.
you know,
Yes.
yes.
put a little paragraph in there about splitting those things up between,
Collectively, yeah,
yeah,
I like that a lot.
so that it's not every person every year has to
Yeah.
do all 6 of those things.
Or, you know, once in your term, twice in your term.
Mhm.
So that it gets cycled.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
That's also a good idea.
I mean, it would inevitably be the one person or whatever it comes down to, but just so that people don't like lose track of it.
I was really impressed that the boards took the opportunity to do a detailed review and comment
Yes.
on the
Yeah,
proposal. I
it
mean,
was
they really took
helpful.
it seriously.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So do we want to make it a collective requirement annually, or do we want to make it a term requirement per individual? Or suggestion? Do we like one over the other? The thing I like about a collective annual is that it brings the board together to a degree, right? It forces you to work together and your action impacts the rest of the board. And I think there's something to that. 'Cause I think boards function better when there's cohesion.
I guess I would ask, I'm not too sure what the requirement would be for each of the different boards. And so I guess I would want the chair to weigh in. I feel like I want more concrete answers for them of what exactly would be the suggested and what would be the required.
you want us to take a look at it again and bring it back to you?
Yeah, I just don't want it to get too much down a rabbit hole, because some of them
Yeah.
can get a little.
Well, this is a good effort. I mean, it's a good effort to just even try and to get it out annually, what is available to board and committee members for training and for workshops and for resources. But let's take it back and I'll have Shayna look at all the comments and tell her what you guys have been discussing and see what she can come up with.
You think, Paul, I don't know how you would feel about this, but
Putting Paul on the spot.
No pressure, Paul.
let's say we pick, here's one thing you have to do. Okay, whatever the time is, as an individual to be on this board, you have to do this. But then on a yearly basis, schedule a work session for a particular element of training. So you get the whole board in for, and I don't know how long those work sessions take. You bring in the whole board together. Today, we're going to learn about zoning such and such. And maybe do that once a year with the whole board as a group together. And that would be their continuing education.
It's a great idea. We just have to budget it.
It's gonna cost, that costs money, because we'd be teaching it.
Staff time.
It's not necessarily staff, it's staff time, but it would be attorney time or expert time.
Whoever you bring in to
Yeah.
discuss that.
I can tell you, as far as the planning and zoning board, there are a lot of free online courses and the
Yeah.
community planning training collaborative CPTC. Every year they do a series of trainings. And every year it's site introduction to site plan
Mhm.
for planning board, subdivision control law for planning board. For zoning board, it's non-conforming uses, vested uses, introduction to special permit, how to write appropriate zoning determinations and so forth. So those have been going on for a long time and they're there and so there's definitely, it's a little tough for those two boards because they have more than one. There isn't like a intro planning board because they deal with subdivisions, they're dealing with site plan review. So there's probably, I could probably pick maybe two essential things that for each of those boards that they should really do.
Okay.
The hybrid of that would be if we had town council and staff develop, kind of combine it so you get like one session where you cover all the basics, and we've talked about
Yeah.
doing that, but there's also, I mean, we're fortunate we have staff here that is there to guide the boards, and we have, a great health agent and conservation agent who are there to provide that technical guidance too, to keep the boards in their zone and advise how to deal with sticky situations that arise. So I think we got good coverage.
And I think we've offered counsel many times to boards, especially, zoning, but to when they're at a point where they think they want to make a decision, we let town council come and talk to them about their decision and help them frame their conditions. And I think that has really been helpful too. But
I have another comment or question. Is there a way we can, once we land on this, work with the search committee to, so that, I don't know, I feel like when I came onto the Conservation Commission, I don't know if I missed something or I mean, at some point someone was like, oh, okay, you should go to MAC, but people come on in June and the MACC tends to be held like in the spring right before then. And just letting people know when they onboard, these are the names of the things that we would like you to try to attend.
and I think
These
that's
are
part
the
of the
dates.
share, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that should be part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah,
spreadsheet
and
have.
to have the search committee in our interviews, in addition to these
Sure.
are what these are your expectations of serving on the board. This is the extra
Those
educational
pages.
requirement.
Would be a great,
Right,
The gift,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all, that's what I liked about it. It's
Yeah.
all synthesized
Yep,
into
it's
one.
consistent, yeah.
Yes, and who generated these?
Shayna.
Shayna sent it.
Shayna,
She makes
little
such nice
magician.
graphs for us. If it could be shared, I guess, with the strategic planning committee, not strategic, I'm sorry, the search committee.
Search committee, yeah.
They begin with S's and there's an R in the word. Fine.
All right. So passing it back to Shayna.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Rich and
Yeah.
Lori Barr, we've done a lot about
And our-
on improving our, what used to be non-existent onboarding for
Yeah.
employees. And I think it's very similar for board and committee members. If you get onto a board and committee, with a great chair, they're going to, mentor you, as Art said, and help you along. And if you're unlucky, you get on a board and committee where you just sit there and try and figure it out, so we do need to be better about giving people some tools.
Yes.
I agree.
All right, are we good on that? Then we will move on to select board goal setting. I'm gonna call it the finale.
I didn't see it in
It's
here.
not in there.
Did it
You know what?
ever-
I didn't
It
put
does
it
it
in.
end?
It's not here?
I just
Oh, no,
thought
that's
it
town meeting
was-
article.
Lori and I
It's not in
forgot.
there.
We do it next time.
Huh?
So sorry.
This is not the finale.
It will be the finale, because I know there was one addition I needed to add.
Right.
One
about the
addition I need
strategic
to add.
or zoning task force.
Yeah.
Is it just for like 2023?
Our annual.
Okay, all right, it's annual. So I was like, goal setting never ends.
Right.
And we're late this year.
Yep.
Usually we do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do we have to do her review?
Yes.
Oh.
we do.
Oh,
Oh,
this
dang.
year,
Yes,
like
Yes.
before 2023?
Sorry, Jamie.
yes.
Shoots.
What?
We should email that out.
Is that a legal requirement?
It's in, we
It's
have
in
it in
the
the
charter.
charter.
Yeah,
Charter.
will
Oh,
you,
yes.
So
Lori,
yes.
will you be able to email each board member the review,
Blank
form?
form.
the blank form?
I
So-
can do that. Is it the same one? Do you want me to send it to you first?
Will you
Make
send
sure
it to
it's
me?
the right
Got
one?
it. Yep.
Yep.
Yep, we'll look at it.
Kind
And-
of lame. form.
It does cover good bases and I like the tally. I like how you tally it.
It's lame.
Oh,
Who said?
well, they've never seen it. They don't know.
Yeah, no.
They have
Basically, it's a review form where you can use taxes and a numerical evaluation, so we can quantify it at the end and then do an evaluation in executive session.
We don't have to do it in public.
That's right.
We have
Have
to
to
do
do
a
it in
public
public.
session. So
Public session?
Yes.
Is that getting added to our next meeting then?
no, it's too soon. Yeah.
Yeah, it won't
I'll
be,
send it out to
you'll
you
get it.
tomorrow.
yeah, you'll probably get the document,
Okay.
but it won't be on our agenda. Like, you'll get the document, fill it out and get it back to me, and then it will be on an agenda.
We want to wait till after Christmas so I can have a good Christmas.
Jamie,
Well, that's why I was like, we need to do this before the end of the year. Like, when are we gonna
Once
do
a
this?
year, it says we have to. do
Yeah,
it.
it's
chair-
it's fine.
the chair consolidates our input.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that way if I'm not in the budget, that would save a lot of money. And we could do the economic development program.
Oh, that's the new
All
fund.
right. Speaking of resignations.
make
committee
a-
resignations.
I make a motion that we approve the resignation of Sheila Filipkowski from the Conservation Commission and as representative of the Community Preservation Committee.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Hi,
Aye.
Okay,
I make a recommendation that we approve the appointment of Olaf P. Hagelin to the Climate Action Committee.
I'll second that.
okay.
He's very, he's gonna be a great addition and it fills. It's a full committee then, once,
Right.
once he's on. Will be good.
All right. We'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay. Town administrators report.
So we had some really good stuff in this. Did you notice, Sharon? So speaking of good stuff, we have Paul Lag, who should be, employee of the year maybe, or at least employee of the month.
Aw.
Oh,
He
the week,
stuck around just for
or the
this.
week. you mean.
So FEMA has decided that his plan is the highest rated in Massachusetts and the third highest in New England. And
Woohoo.
he's gonna save everybody 15% in
Flood insurance.
Flood insurance.
Well
Oh,
done.
Good call.
that's awesome. Wow.
Is that for the year or for?
Third best, yeah.
Is it annually?
Yeah, how long is the discount for?
I think it's 5 years, right?
Yes, per year.
Or do you have to be this amazing
You
next
have
year
your
too?
it's your savings annual, so
Oh.
your annual.
But they review it every.
For your individual, for the property owner who owns, who has flood insurance. You get 15% annually taken off your
Pretty decent.
premium.
But does this end at some point?
No.
Yes.
It only ends if we don't participate in the program anymore, so.
Okay.
So the program, that's the reward for the town participating in the program. And what we do is we hold ourselves to higher regulatory standards, and we do quite a bit of outreach and public education every year. And so if the town continues to hold up that part of the deal and we're in good standing with this community rating system, we continue to get the credit. And the more, it's an incentive-based program. So the more the town does, the more points you get and the higher the discount. But it does get to a breaking point for smaller towns with how much you can do, so. And I just want to add that I did not single-handedly do that plan, so we had a lot of people in town and a lot of staff from other departments did. So.
Good job.
But I
Paul.
was
Yes.
happy with the results, so it's good for the
Not bad.
towns.
We got you.
Awesome. Thank
We
you.
are too.
Paul.
Add on top of that, it's a good example of, people, I understand, people look at, the town meeting articles and they look at the budget and they say, why is it going up so much? Or why is, taxes are going up, and all of that can be true. But it's also true that the capacity and some of the things that we have done give us the ability to do these things. So you don't see the
benefit.
benefit in your taxes, but you save 15% on your flood insurance. And for example, several hundreds of dollars on your insurance because of the water system, which
Mhm.
aren't reflected in your taxes.
Right. 'Cause
So
now we have fire.
things like that add up to real money.
It's real. And we've increased our capacity, like for Lauren, to do all kinds of things that we wanted to do that we haven't been able to do.
Absolutely, money well spent.
Yeah.
It's important. A little bad news on the dredge. We're in the $1.6 million range.
Share?
Yes.
Oh, man.
God, last time it was $1 million.
Last time it was 750. That's the price difference in 10 years. Yeah.
That wasn't just our portion, 750.
Oh, our portion was
Yeah, yeah,
750.
okay.
Yeah.
I
So
knew it was
half,
under a
it's
million.
double. The price is doubled. And I think,
But that includes the emergency dredge last year also.
and yes, and we did receive a grant award from the state for the efficiency and regionalization program. And that $25,000 grant is really not a lot, but it will set us up. It's the feasibility study that sets us up for the $200,000 grant that we could apply for next year. And they're very excited about it. So.
Thank you. All right, new upcoming agenda items and needed follow-up on previous items.
I have some follow-up this time.
Wait to erase that charter one.
Oh, it's almost, I really feel
Where?
like it's almost there. Oh, it's the emails that we made a lot of strides on this past one. We're
Mhm.
really trying to clear
Yep,
those.
clear those up.
Were they weren't in.
I don't think they were in this one.
And we're inching towards
Wait,
our
there were
other,
ten? No, there were some in there.
Are you copying us, all of us on the emails?
I haven't seen all of them.
If they're to me,
Whoever
no.
responds puts me on copy. And so then I
So
update the
if I
chart.
get an email, the only way the rest of the board will know about it is if I copy them.
If you copy that,
But it'll
or
show
you,
up on
I
here.
can send them to everybody.
Like,
if you
I got
want.
one sent to me. It shows up on
But I
here.
can't figure out what it is. I looked at it. I don't know what the email says, something about you got an email.
Water bottle, someone's opposed to our water bottle ban.
Yeah, but I hadn't seen that.
So I called
to
them.
you.
Right.
Yeah, I'd send to you, so.
But people have a choice about emailing us.
They can email one or all of us. right?
well,
They
it's
don't-
hard to share a phone call unless it fits into the
No,
little
I'm
box.
not talking-
Yeah.
but
Well, plus I copy the full email into the spreadsheet. The message they say is verbatim.
That's all of it.
Yeah.
Okay, Done.
Except her phone number, which I understand why you didn't put that in.
Right, right.
All right,
So we're catching up. We have a lot of volume, but we're catching up.
Next is minutes for November 21st, 2022 regular session.
motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? None. Okay, other business or correspondences? And we know what's next. Oh,
what was the question?
I didn't hear.
Other business?
any other business?
Can I remind everyone that our next meeting, I think, is going to be our Nauset Regional School Building
Joint.
Project joint meeting with
With the finance.
Finance committee.
the finance committee.
Yeah.
Everyone's coming.
It's a party.
Well, we just want everyone to hear the same info and ask
Right,
the
yeah.
same question.
And I
rather do
want
it
to
twice.
remind the public to join in too, because we need to vote on it right
Sure,
after the holidays.
Members of the school building committee will be here and.
Yeah.
School committee members and all that jazz, probably, at least one of them.
At least one of them, yeah.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed?